You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Aaron Airport. Episode 177 of Keep Canada Weird is upon us, and I'm so excited to get back to it. Last week was the first week we had off from a numbered weekly weird news roundup in a long time, and things didn't feel right over here. Yes, we did a mailbag. It was great to connect, but it just didn't feel the same.
I agree. There was a very large hole in my heart, a void in my soul that needed to be filled by some KCW action, but it was nice to do the mailbag. I really enjoy doing the mailbags, and it's something that I hope to do more of in the future because listening to voicemails is my favorite part of the show.
Yeah, and you like doing it even when it drums up a lot of trouble, like the last mailbag we did last week, Keep Canada Weird mailbag number 8.
Yeah, there was a fair amount of disturbing content that was aired on the mailbag last week. If you haven't heard it, then go back and give it a listen, or don't, because again, it is disturbing as some of the comments that you're going to hear from some listeners that we used to trust.
Yeah, we're going to revisit those comments tonight because we got a lot of feedback on the most recent mailbag episode, specifically feedback surrounding your request for opinions on if we should or should not ban a specific listener from giving feedback on the show. We'll dive into that in a minute. But first, I want to ask you got a special drink tonight? And don't jump right out and show me yet. I just want you to know that it's important that you have something extra special because since we missed last week's weird news, we have kind of like a double header tonight. We got a lot of weird stuff to talk about and you're going to need to be refreshed.
I do have a special drink. It is the drink that came with my Wendy's combo. I got a chicken burger with fries at Wendy's, and I got this in a nice Wendy's Wednesday cup. It's a Sprite Zero.
Oh, when you say Wendy's Wednesday, I thought it like we're recording this on Wednesday. I'm like, they have special drinks on Wednesdays? But you mean like a tie-in with the Netflix show starring Jenna Ortega.
That's right. And on the back of the cup, it actually says, "Best served cold, like revenge."
I like it. I as well have a special drink tonight, but I'm double fisting. On occasion, I'll do this. I have a hot tea, but I also have a really special pop that I'll probably use for the second half of the show. Have you ever seen one of these? It's an A&W ice cream sundae.
That's a big combination. That's a lot of flavor packed into one can.
I'm actually going to open it probably halfway through the show when I need like my second wind. Because like I said, we got a lot to get into tonight. There's been a whole lot of weird news playing out over the last week, but I know you like to open up the show with voicemails. You want to get into some weird stuff?
I really do.
That sounded sarcastic. Let me ask again. Do you want to get into some listener feedback?
I really do.
We mentioned there at the top of the show, there was some disturbing content in the mailbag episode number 8, specifically directed towards you from a listener named Norm. We all know how you take criticism, but what Norm said was a step above that.
And I have a special message for Aaron. Even though you're handsome, you seem to be unduly interested in disallowing the renaming of segments to better names. So here's my message to you. Stop being a clown and a goof. Thank you.
Which led to you calling for opinions on if Norm should or should not be banned from contributing voicemails to this show for, I believe you floated the idea of a 6-month ban. Is that what you thought was fair?
That was a number. I think that's a light sentence. I think depending on the feedback that we get from the other dependable, loyal, and respectful listeners that we have on the show, we could push that to a year. We could push it to 2.
Okay.
Again, I'm very open-minded about what the punishment ends up being. I think it definitely needs to be a ban, and it definitely needs to have a public apology from Norm.
Okay, well, I'll tell you, you reached out to listeners for opinions and they are delivering. I have actually 2 little segments of feedback. The first thing I'm going to do is play a collage of voicemails. It's actually 3 listeners that are supportive of the ban.
The news girl is back. I don't know if you remember her, but She told me she had something specifically for Aaron to hear. Extra, extra, read all about it. Everything Norm says sucks. Okay, that's everything she had to say.
This is Ray, your correspondent in Oregon, and I am just calling in response to hashtag ban Norm. I actually totally agree with Aaron. Norm's ideas are generally terrible, but Canadian clownery was definitely the dumbest idea. And I do think that he should be banned for sure. But 6 months does seem a little bit too harsh, so I was thinking maybe 2 months might be better. But he also did cut Aaron deeply.
Dear Norm, I'm deeply disappointed as a fellow American to witness your embarrassing display against our beloved co-host, the incredibly handsome Aaron.
So that is just a little taste of the Keep Canada Weird listeners who came out in support of you. Anything you want to say about any of those pieces of feedback?
I really like that the third listener was another calling from inside the bathroom voicemail.
Yeah, I always enjoy those. That was a big, long, hollow bathroom, though. Maybe that was a mall manager in a mall bathroom.
Well, yeah, I am going to imagine them as a mall manager in a mall bathroom. And I think that makes everything feel like a nice warm blanket for me. Because this is a troubling time. Norm was a consistent listener that I loved hearing from, and it was very tough to have him turn on me like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even put it into words.
Okay. Well, Norm may have been awful to you last week, but not everyone agrees with the idea of banning him. We have a listener named Jeremy, who I don't know if he's coming out in support of Norm, but he's certainly coming out in defense of Norm.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Jeremy here. In Mailbag Volume 8, you want to ban Norm, Handsome Aaron Airport. You want to ban Norm, or you want a consensus of banning Norm because he hurt your feelings?
Yeah.
Is that right, bud? You got some big feelings happening there? I don't want to be rude, but that's not what we would do. That's what the U.S. government is doing. We don't want to censor things like that. We want to give people the chance to maybe defend themselves, defend their argument, or maybe apologize, which Norm might do. So don't ban him. Hear him out, and then, pull that trigger if you need to. Oh, wait, sorry. Don't pull triggers. We don't do that here either.
Mm-hmm.
But Aaron, I do wonder. You become very contrarian lately. Aaron, get off my lawn, airport? I don't know.
I think Jeremy's the essence of his feedback is let's just wait and see what Norm does. Jeremy seems quite cautious about censorship rearing its ugly head in this show. It seems like he's suggesting maybe this could become a political thing. And we should maybe just let cooler heads prevail, at least for now, and see how Norm responds.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to approach it. I do have big feelings, and my big feelings were hurt very deeply by someone who I called a friend. So hashtag ban Norm is still something that I am going to continue to push. And also, hashtag ban Jeremy sounds like a really good, has a really good ring to it. So whatever Norm's punishment ends up being, Jeremy will be getting the exact same. So if Norm is banned for 6 to 12 months from leaving voicemails, Jeremy as well will be also banned 6 to 12 months. And I'd love to get the listeners to chime in on Jeremy's punishment and if he deserves it or not. But I think he does, and I think at the end we'll have both of these people banned, and they'll learn a lesson. And then when they come crawling back with a voicemail in 12 months or so, they'll be tail between their legs and they'll apologize profusely over hurting my feelings now repeatedly. I feel like they're coordinated, the two of them, Norm and Jeremy.
It does seem like there's something there, but we don't have any more time to dwell on it. You've brought up the topic of banning. The first weird Canadian news story I want to get into tonight, I guess, rubs elbows against banning because it led to a man being banned from a nightclub in Vegas. Let me tell you how that happened. Fans, staff, and even a headlining DJ at a packed Las Vegas nightclub was convinced that Justin Bieber was in the audience and had come on stage to perform. The only problem was, it wasn't Justin Bieber at some nightclub in Vegas ready to sing his hit songs. It was a Justin Bieber impersonator, which apparently is a thing. And no one realized that was the case until the damage was done and the bills were racked up. Let's hear the story of the fake Justin Bieber rocking Vegas, or as a lot of people are calling it, Biebergate 2025.
Well, there was a mix of excitement and confusion and then disappointment for partygoers at a Las Vegas nightclub when a surprise performance by Justin Bieber turned out to be a ruse. American DJ Griffin was performing inside the Wynn Hotel when he was told Bieber wanted to perform. Somebody came up to the mic and took the stage before the stunned crowd. But as it turns out, it wasn't actually the Canadian music superstar.
Wait, that was insane. That was actually insane. Complete fake. No way. I swear on my life.
I literally thought, I was like, damn, he put on a lot of weight since the album dropped.
The Bieber doppelganger was actually 29-year-old Dylan Deklos, who even has the same tattoos as the pop star. He reportedly racked up a $10,000 tab, which he paid, but he's been banned from the casino for life.
First surprise of the story is that there is a market for Justin Bieber impersonators, to the point that this guy who only vaguely looks like Justin Bieber was willing to get all the same tattoos as him.
Yeah, it's a real commitment to something that is not going to be something he can do
for very long.
I guess maybe he's around the same age. How old is Justin Bieber?
I don't know, younger, maybe early 30s, I guess. And this guy looked to be about the same age as Justin Bieber. It's just he only looked similar to Justin Bieber. He was a thin guy with similar facial hair. He had the same tattoos, of course, a similar build, and he was kind of dressed like Justin Bieber. He had a tight white tank top and jeans or something that you would see Bieber in. But aside from that, the actual structure of their face and stuff, I didn't see much of a similarity. I've seen it referred to as the wish.com version of Justin Bieber, and I think that's very accurate.
Yeah, but I guess if somebody was like, oh, Justin Bieber is here, and then he showed up on stage and everyone was saying it was Justin Bieber, then I would just go with it, because I don't really know Justin Bieber well enough to say whether it would be him or not. I don't follow Justin Bieber or I don't have Justin Bieber posters up on my wall, so.
Mm-hmm. He looked similar enough that if it was a dark room and he had sunglasses on and stuff, and this guy this impersonator was actually traveling with fake security and stuff. Apparently this was something he was doing all day, kind of going around with fake security, being escorted around as if he was Bieber. And this was, I guess, the highlight of the night. He went to this nightclub, got up on stage, the whole thing happened. When we think of the commitment to the tattoos, I don't think it's a financial thing. I think there's something going on that this guy, I think this guy really has I want to be Justin Bieber thing. I think he was getting more out of it than pulling a prank. I haven't seen him, just as an example, I haven't seen him live streaming as if this whole thing was this joke and his audience was following along. It seems like this was just something this guy did.
Well, there are people who make a living as impersonators. I mean, the most famous would be Elvis impersonators. So
yeah, but they don't rack up $10,000 tabs and get banned from a nightclub and stuff. Although that would get this guy, I'm just thinking, what's his motivation financially or professionally? The only thing I can think of in this case is a lot of free publicity, although it's bad publicity.
Yeah, but any publicity is good publicity. And if someone is looking for a Justin Bieber impersonator for whatever reason, they know where to find them.
There's now at least one, and his name is in articles all over the place, because this was a high profile story.
Yeah, it's also a pretty cool thing to do, really, as
it would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you'd be going into this club or whatever it is, and drinking all this free booze and hanging out and getting the royal treatment, VIP, this and that. Yeah, no, absolutely, I support it.
And there were people getting photos with him and stuff. I just wonder if he's going to get in trouble. Getting banned is one thing, but a $10,000 tab, It's a significant amount of money.
But if he pitches it as this is performance art, it can fall under the category of, in terms of like impersonating somebody. This was just part of his show.
But the $10,000 tab, that's not, you don't think that's going to be an issue?
Well, they had offered it to him.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like
it was given it to him. Yeah. Yeah.
If they give $10,000 worth of stuff to everyone who says they're Justin Bieber, then yeah, maybe they're owed $10,000 here.
I think they're out $10,000, and there's parody laws in place too, where you can parody something and be allowed to do it. So, and not get in any legal hot water for that. So he can argue that this is, again, performance art. This is all a piece that he works on, and I think he'll be fine.
Is it a good piece though? Like, do you think would you be entertained watching, I don't know, like behind the scenes videos of him, going places as Justin Bieber? Like, could this be a thing?
Yeah, I would. I hope he releases something like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. I maybe would watch it. I don't know. What I'm really into lately is like body cam footage on YouTube. Maybe this would be like a light escape from people getting arrested on body cam.
Yeah, body cam footage is a really popular one on TikTok and different apps. So you're not the only one heavily addicted. I'm mostly into people falling down right now. That's what I've been watching a lot of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a good time.
Yeah.
It's always a good time. Classic. This story of Biebergate, or the fake Justin Bieber, the Wish.com Bieber. Of course, Bieber is a Canadian celebrity, although this story is set in the United States. That's going to be a bit of a theme during this episode. We have a couple stories that rub up against the United States. But first, let's have a break. When we get back from our first break, let's hear about an American story and its Canadian implications. Handsome Aaron Airport, a lot happened during that break. We already have an update on the prior story concerning the fake, or the Wish.com, Justin Bieber. The mystery actually deepens a little bit, where we've learned that he actually paid the tab. He racked up a $10,000 bill as he was getting booted and banned from the venue. He paid the tab.
Mm-hmm.
So who is this mystery man? Was it in fact Justin Bieber?
Yeah, maybe Justin Bieber is working with him. So Justin Bieber wants to keep Justin Bieber's name in the news as much as possible. So he's like, you know what I'll do? Like the same way Saddam Hussein had all of those replica Saddam Husseins, a fake, guys dressed up as Saddam so that they'll assassinate them and not him. And so maybe Bieber just kind of keeps this guy funded, sends him out, keep my name in the news. The more people who are out there kind of seeing you impersonate me, then that elevates my spotlight.
That could be it, but it also could be like Justin Bieber is kind of famous for not wanting to interact with paparazzi and stuff. So could it be, if there's fake Justin Biebers everywhere, could the real Justin Bieber just be like, I'm also an impersonator? Like, it could give him a bit of plausible deniability of stardom. But either way, it remains, Biebergate 2025 remains a fascinating story, but not the only fascinating story involving Canadians and Americans and the Canadian-American border that played out over the last week. Let's talk about the American asylum seeker who recently showed up in Canada via kayak. A 51-year-old U.S. Army veteran made international news after illegally crossing into Canada, again via kayak. He landed in LaSalle, Ontario. But it's more than just an illegal border crossing. Here's the story of the American asylum seeker.
Dan Livers says he's a U.S. Army veteran. Originally from Kentucky, he paddled across the Detroit River earlier this month, landing about 12 kilometers south of the Ambassador Bridge.
I hit the sand, drug my yak up on the sand, geared up, went across the road to Timmy's, had a cup of coffee, calmed down a little bit.
Livers says he tried to declare himself at the nearby LaSalle fire station, but staff told him they don't handle that sort of thing. So he waited around 6 hours to run into a police officer.
About 1 o'clock in the morning, a patrolman was out doing his rounds and actually, doing his job, and lo, there I was. And he made contact with me, and I turned myself into him.
Later that day, LaSalle police said they'd handed him over to federal authorities. The RCMP confirmed his identity to CBC News and say they transferred Livers to Canadian border officials. But Livers says he claimed asylum, fearing his life is at risk back home. According to him, that's why he crossed in a kayak, not at an official border crossing.
I remember East Germany when I was a kid. Nobody came through Checkpoint Charlie, and I wasn't going to run a gauntlet of ICE, Sheriff's Department, State Police, whomever.
Livers fears retribution after criticizing a nonprofit group in Michigan that provides service dogs and works with the government.
It's all true. All the nonsense you hear south of the border is true.
It will be up to him to prove to Canadian authorities that he has a real fear of persecution or serious harm in the U.S., and that he wouldn't be safe anywhere in the country. He knows getting refugee protection will be hard, but he's up for the challenge.
I just don't want to get killed, and I hate looking over my shoulder. And I promise I'll do everything I can to be a good Canadian, and I will defend your border. I swear I will.
Thank God.
Oh, I love that guy.
He's a great guy. I love him too. There's two things I want to mention that happened right at the top of the story.
Okay, fire away.
One is he calls his kayak a yak.
Yeah, I pulled my yak up.
So I pulled my yak up. I thought that was very very bro dude of him.
Mm-hmm.
But he did make one, well, I think, fatal mistake. And one of the first things he did was get himself a Timmy's.
Not one of, like literally the second thing. He pulled his yak up on shore and then went to Tim's, got a coffee to calm down. I think that's just him playing into the hand of the average Canadian. He wants people to know, I'm safe. I'm kind of like one of you, or what I imagine, what I'm told you're like. Like, I think that was just kind of a bit of marketing on his part. I think the big thing here is he's running away from a volunteer group that supplies dogs to people. Like, I don't get what his fear is. Like, for him to claim asylum, he needs to prove that like his life is at risk, or he has a reasonable grounds to believe that his life is at risk. Did it not say that he was critical of like a volunteer group that does something with dogs, like dog training or something?
Yeah, they provide sight dogs or something.
Something like that. And then And then he says, like, I don't want to run a gauntlet of like ICE and the State Department. And why would ICE care? ICE is like the immigration authorities in the US. Why would they care if this man criticized some volunteer dog group? I think the whole thing is pretty crazy. But I will agree that I believe him, and he seems sincere when he says, I will defend your borders. This guy does sound like he's willing to fight and die for Canada for whatever reason.
Yeah, I just don't think he'll be the first called up. That's the thing.
No. How long
the
do you think he's
kayak
gonna be
division is full in the Canadian Army right now.
That's right. We probably have one, honestly. They just patrol lakes or rivers somewhere.
Yeah.
But how long do you think this guy's going to last before they're like, you just have to leave, man?
Well, they say that they're due to the backlog of Americans or whoever seeking asylum in Canada, that it could take up to 10 years for them to decide on his case.
Man, they should be advertising that. But yeah, that's right. I forgot I read about that. It's like you can apply and be denied, but that process like can take years. So he could maybe wait out whatever problems he has with this volunteer company. A new board of directors will come in or whatever, and he'll be free to go after that, maybe. Or maybe we'll just let him stay. He seems to have a Canadian spirit, like something about, like the accent wasn't Canadian, but something about his overall vibe kind of struck me as Canadian.
Yeah, he should just take his yak out to international waters and just live out there.
I'm surprised he even made it across like this, whatever. I think he came across.
I don't know.
I don't know enough about yaks. I've never heard them referred to as a yak.
No, me either. I really like it though. I'm going to start referring everything as a yak, even though it's not a kayak.
Yeah.
My computer is a yak. My car is a yak. Oh, yeah.
When I heard this guy, I was kind of doubting a part of his story, and I was a little critical when I first saw the news clip about this guy coming across and trying to just stay here. So I did do a little bit of fact checking. One thing he said is it's as bad over there as you think, like talking about in America. I did do a bit of research on that. I spent last night kind of just like Googling America and the United States and trying to see what's going on down there and what he's escaping from. And what I found was actually pretty horrifying. I want to share one news story, and I think this news story will maybe give a sense of the overall climate down in the United States. The story takes us to Los Angeles. One man spent months tormenting his neighbors by blasting horns that he had installed in trees in his backyard. After countless complaints and a dramatic arrest, the neighborhood finally got a bit of peace. Here's that story of the American man with the horns.
And we have breaking news tonight involving this neighborhood nightmare playing out in Van Nuys. New video tonight showing the man responsible for blaring horns and sirens being taken into custody. It's a saga we've been following for 2 days, and tonight the LAPD is taking action. Eyewitness News reporter Tim Caputo live in that neighborhood with the new video and the latest information. Tim.
And Mark, I'll pause for a second, because you could literally hear crickets out here tonight. Residents of this neighborhood will sleep easy this evening, both literally and figuratively, as the man who lives in this house here behind me that has been blasting loud noises through the streets is in jail tonight.
Are we going through the same thing again? Tell me! Tell me!
His arrest nearly as loud as the blaring horns that brought LAPD here in the first place.
Answer my question! Answer my question!
He was just yelling right away. So we're like, oh, there's no missing that when he's yelling and screaming. Hear that from a mile away.
Gary Boyanzian taken into custody Wednesday night after months of countless complaints from his neighbors for this. Deafening train horns that were placed high on a tree in his backyard. And if it wasn't the horn, it was his house alarm, also intentionally set off. LAPD says they've responded to his home on Peach Avenue in Van Nuys more than 5 times, and this morning gave him an administrative citation. But it clearly turned criminal. Boyadzian left for several hours, and when he returned, police were nearby, watching and listening.
He came out and thought everything was over, so he went out and watered his lawn, and a couple of the plainclothes vehicles just pulled up real quick and snatched him on the lawn. And he was yelling and screaming and resisting arrest. And he was screaming in the car. You could hear the car as it went down the street, could hear him screaming.
Boyanzian was taken away, but the horns haven't been taken down yet. But with no one home to set them off, at least it'll be quiet tonight.
The neighborhood's a huge relief. We know we're not going to hear that horn, and it's disrupting no matter what you're doing.
Earlier today, when we asked him why he sounds off the alarms, he unleashed an unsubstantiated story about the mafia trying to kill him and LAPD assisting in the plot.
Some of the neighbors we spoke to say you have mental health problems.
They have mental health problems. My life is in danger. If they don't want to seem to understand it, that's no problem.
LAPD hasn't said what they've charged him with just yet, but for neighbors it's moot. Because for the moment, silence never sounded so good.
Finally. Yeah, so now we can relax and just live our lives the best way we can.
Wow. I don't even know what to say about that one. Other than if that's the kind of situation this man hopped in a kayak and crossed the water for, maybe I can't blame him. But at the same time, the story of this man seems to have some kind of parallels with the man in the kayak, where he seems to be raging against something that may or may not be reasonable to rage against.
The dots that I'm trying to connect here is, what does loud horns and sirens have to do about keeping away the mafia?
I think that's probably one of the questions the cops probably asked them when they first showed up. I think, but not only is it the mafia, but the LAPD, the Los Angeles Police, are involved in it in his mind. The horns, if anything, would attract the police. And if they're involved in the mafia, then it just seems like he's his own worst enemy. And the only people he's hurting really are his community members and himself by drawing the police. Are you surprised that they took him down with kind of like a SWAT operation? It was like unmarked cars that pulled up and grabbed the guy. I was kind of surprised by that. You'd think, blasting horns all night wouldn't involve these kind of like unmarked cars and such.
Well, maybe these police officers are mafia guys dressed up as police officers.
It could be a little where there's smoke, there's fire sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bizarre situation. I think the idea that this went on for weeks or months is shocking to me. I don't know what I would do, but if there was someone like a couple houses away from me just blasting train horns that they installed in their trees and setting off their home alarm, there must be bylaws or something in most communities that would deal with that. I don't know how he could get away with it for that long. People must have been going crazy. But if the guy's unhinged, people probably don't want to deal with it. Other than this reporter who had the guts to go up and knock on his door.
And ask him if he's mentally ill.
Seriously, I don't think that would happen in Canada, would it?
No, no, a reporter would never like insinuate or ask that question
No.
at all here.
And I don't think, and I think a reporter would have enough sense to not go up, like, and try to get a statement from this guy.
Yeah, there was a lot of
But-
mistakes this reporter made probably that day where, you know, his news station manager is probably like, you know, maybe it's time to retire.
Yeah, it's something else, man. But we don't cover America often. Every so often, an American story slips in, and when it does, it's always worth our time. That story is something about the absurdity of it. Made me feel good, but I also feel really bad for this guy because whatever demons he's battling, I have a feeling the air horn and siren isn't going to help him.
No, no, no. But he probably has some very specific plan that we just don't know about. And I really wish that we could have access to that information.
Yeah, would you want to like sit down and talk to this guy?
Just an email. I'll take an email from him.
Yeah, I would be very curious to read that. But anyway, we got to get back to weird Canadian news stories. Let's take a break. When we get back, we have the latest viral video trend. And this one is gaining steam in Canada. It's ridiculous and nonsensical, and it involves the RCMP. Let's get into it after a short break. Handsome Aaron Airport. I love a good TikTok trend. I love nonsense, and I love how it catches on and other people get involved.
Yeah, I like some nonsense if I'm from a distance.
From a distance. Okay, you don't take part. You do a TikTok channel where you do walks through beautiful places with music. It's a little bit serene. You're not following any like dangerous trends during these walks.
No, I'm not doing anything dangerous. I'm just going for a nice, fun, relaxing walk. Anybody who would like to join me on that walk and follow me on TikTok at Aaron Airport, AARON, and come for a walk with me.
Well, I think you'll get a lot more followers if you do something like this. A TikTok trend has people across Canada staging fake police chases with RCMP officers. Some see it as harmless fun, while others worry it's pushing things a little bit too far. Here's the story of the viral trend that involves convincing an RCMP officer to chase you while your friend films it and posts it on TikTok. So stupid. Here it comes.
You get hot, then you must get cool. Bad boys, bad boys.
It's a TikTok trend challenging police officers to a foot pursuit.
Bad boys, bad boys.
The video's taking off in Canada. This one was filmed in Broadview, Saskatchewan. That's Taylor Lutz being chased.
I was actually kind of nervous because I was wearing flats and a dress skirt, so I was like, I don't have a lot of motion. My RCMP guy did actually tap my shoulder, so I lost, but it was still super fun. I love it. I think we're building a good relationship with the RCMP community.
Our elder, his grandson, and our wonderful cop.
The trend is seeing praise online, comments applauding officers for being good sports, but not everyone is on board.
I know people are having fun, but you really got to take a step back and think about what are the possible consequences.
Sociology professor Christopher Schneider, who has written about policing and social media, worries someone could get hurt.
Come.
Why would we take the risk here if the police are playing games with members of the community and chasing them around? It seems like a sort of a bad idea.
The RCMP declined an interview about the trend.
And just for people who haven't seen the clip or don't know much about this isn't like you do something and get the cops to actually chase you. It's like the cop is in on it. Like you like, I want to make a video. You run after me and I'll run away and my friend will video it.
Yeah, and then they just tap you and then you're out, almost like a little game of tag.
But is that not like the dumbest thing ever?
I think it's pretty adorable, actually.
You do?
I like that the RCMP officers enjoy it. They're involved in it. They're consenting to it. It's people like this bearded buzzkill that comes in the end. Why they interview this guy about it? who cares what he has to think about it? But for some reason, they're like, the RCMP won't talk to us, so let's find them random.
Well, he's a sociology
boring-
professor or something, but
Yeah, like
maybe they're just taking the story way too seriously. If you're, there's this viral trend of these stupid videos. Let's call a university sociology professor and get their opinions on it.
Yeah, like who cares what he thinks about it? And he's like, "Oh, I think this is not a good thing." And no, it's like, no, man. Like they were just desperate for somebody to comment on this, and you're the guy that answered the phone.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I guess like when I say it's stupid, I just don't think it's something. I'm surprised this is going viral or is becoming a trend or whatever, because it's not interesting to see like someone running and a cop like smiling, running after them and tagging them on the shoulder. But I guess there's way worse stuff to watch. Maybe I'm too hard on it.
I mean, it's not something that I would really watch, but I don't see any issues with it. So, and it depends on how you shoot it. So it depends on whose TikTok account it is, how you're shooting it, the angles that you're approaching it on. I think there's a lot of fun you could have with this.
Really? Okay, explore that idea. Tell me about it.
Explore the idea?
Yeah. What's fun about this? How could it be fun? I don't think it's fun.
It would be fun if they were like catching you and you had stolen something ridiculous,
Give me that potato.
Yeah. Like you don't know what when the video starts, you don't know why the RCMP officer is chasing them. And then when he catches them and then arrests them, it's like, yeah, it's a potato or something, or it's something. Yeah.
Okay. So and then the joke would be on the viewer. It's almost like getting rickrolled or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's you're watching it, like being like, whoa, like there's this crazy chase. Like this isn't Saskatchewan. Like the cops after this guy. What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
And then when he finally gets into the ground, he has like a potato.
Yeah. Or something like a potato.
Like, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I could see that. But the videos that they use in the news clip, it looks so amateur and pedestrian. It's just a cop running and a person running away, and the cop tags them, and everyone just kind of laughs.
But sometimes when you watch things on TikTok, it's relaxing. It's not necessarily something that's overly interesting or something that is making some kind of a commentary or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the relationship between the RCMP officer and the person. The RCMP officer is taking a break from their work to just participate in this fun little thing where they chase the person and then tag them, and then that's it. I guess it's relaxing to watch that type of content.
Yeah. Okay. I still think it's kind of stupid. I'm sorry, but and I'm also surprised that it's gaining traction because the stuff that goes viral is stuff that people can't look away from, and this I very easily can look away from.
Yeah, but the relaxing things go viral too. Those trends, yeah,
it's true. Do you think there are people who fall asleep to long videos of cops like happily chasing people who are, who haven't done anything wrong?
There are people that fall asleep to you and I talking. So
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I believe that anybody can fall asleep to anything depending on how completely riddled with anxiety they are.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this before, but what do you fall asleep listening to or doing, or is it pitch black in your room and quiet?
I can never fall asleep in the pitch black, but I put on like YouTube and I just pick some videos and I fall asleep to them.
What about the ads, or do you have YouTube Premium?
Listen, I'm asleep before the first ad hits. So
really, you're one of those. Okay, I'm kind of the same, but the ads will wake me up. I'm more audio podcasts, but it can't be too interesting. Sometimes I'll pick an audiobook of like a 70s sci-fi book, and I'll start the audiobook in the very middle. I don't even know what's going on, but they're just describing this like fantasy world. And within like 2 minutes, I'm sound asleep.
Yeah.
Without a worry on my mind.
Yeah. I love having something to fall asleep to. It's just a nice way to put a cap on the day.
Yeah. I couldn't do it in dark silence though. I would have a nervous breakdown.
No, but there are people who can. And when
psychos.
Yeah. And, When I'm just about to be murdered by one, I find that it's interesting that they tell me, yeah, no, I go to sleep in the pitch dark.
Let's get back on track here. We got one last unique and offbeat news story that played out across Canada over the last week to wrap up. Stratford, Ontario is faced with a bit of a mystery after 6 of its most iconic residents, the city's beloved swans, have gone missing. With low water levels pushing them to wander, the birds may be hiding out, but whatever's happened, it's left the locals worried. Here's the story of the 6 missing swans of Stratford, Ontario.
I have family visiting in town, and we have swan on our scavenger list right here. And we also have roses and a statue of Shakespeare, and it looks like we're going to be hunting for a really long time to find the swans on the river.
They're one of the main symbols of the city of Stratford, usually seen here on the Avon River, but the city says some of their iconic swans are unaccounted for.
We believe we have 6 swans that have wandered. And we don't use tracking devices on our swans. We know we had low water levels, and some swans will take to walking.
According to the city, sometimes the swans leave the main river system and travel to nearby tributaries, parks, stormwater ponds, or even the golf course. The city doesn't use tracking devices, so it's asking residents to keep an eye out for the birds. Since putting out the release, one person did spot a swan in a location the city hadn't seen them in before, and staff managed to locate it.
We know they can travel as well by air, and we are assuming that this one did fly. And so, we're concerned. We're hoping no harm has come to them.
The mayor says the swans are an important part of the community, not just for residents that live here, but also for visitors. And visitors and residents I spoke to today say it's not the same with the swans missing.
They're part of our brand as Stratford, right? Everybody has a swan planter or swans in their kitchen or a picture of swans. So it feels like it's not really Stratford without the swans.
We always visit them when we come to Stratford. If they're happy, I'm okay with it.
That is horrible. Who would do such a thing? They're so beautiful to be in the park. It's very sad.
The mayor says the city does have plans to add 4 more swans to the flock, but using some way to track them might be helpful in the future. Ritzma encourages anyone who spots a swan to contact the city.
Let's put out some good vibes for the swans to come back.
It's quite the mystery they got there in Stratford. I like how it seems like everyone they talked to had this idea that the swans seem to have wandered away. I hope they're okay. Maybe they're at the golf course. It seems like one person had the belief that, the swans were killed. Who would do such a thing? I didn't get any indication at all that there was foul play involved in this.
Yeah, I didn't either. It seems to me that the swans didn't want to be there anymore and they left, and they're just not coming back. And don't take it personally, but you should probably take it personally.
Well, you should probably have tracking devices if you're so, worried. And they're these iconic part of the town, and they like in the. But I guess why would you track them? I know, like in Halifax we have these swans.
There's just a couple of swans that hang out, and everything comes to an end at some point in time. It's part of life. So I think the people here of this good town need to just take some time to reflect on the relationship that they had with the swans, and maybe in a few months to a year or a few years, whatever time it takes to heal, they'll move on to a new animal.
Well, they have more swans coming. The mayor said, we have another 4 swans coming. So
it's too soon for that, though. It's too soon for new swans. They haven't gotten over the old swans yet.
That is true. I like the setup for that news story, too, because they told the story of the missing swans in the context of this tourist who was doing a scavenger hunt that had swans on it. And she was never going to be able to solve or win the treasure hunt. Is it a treasure hunt? What do you call that? A scavenger hunt.
Scavenger hunt.
Yeah. Just a weird setup for the article. How do they end up finding, if you're doing a story on the missing swans, what are the chances you come across a tourist who's in the middle of a scavenger hunt and cannot find a swan?
Well, apparently all you have to do, if you want to find a swan, just go into the people's homes, because apparently they have posters and pictures and magnets of swans all over their houses. So You can finish your scavenger hunt that way.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Stratford. I associate it with Shakespeare. I don't know why. Is there like a Shakespeare stuff happens there?
The Stratford Festival.
Yeah, that's it. So I associate it with Shakespeare. I feel like this, they're kind of like doing a bit of revisionist history to try to be like, no, we're the Swan place and our swans are missing. It seems like maybe they're exaggerating their connection with swans to raise awareness for the missing swans. If you go to a few homes in Stratford, do you think you are going to see swan posters?
Apparently. No, I never thought that before this article, but now I do believe you will.
The news is never dishonest or wrong. You're right.
That's right.
Yeah. It's been a weird week with we'd like to go out on either a rant, ice cream story, a tire story, a senior citizen story. But my favorite way to go out is with a listener who's catching up on some old episodes. Listen to this voicemail that just came through.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. I was listening to some episodes, catching up, and an episode came up where it was ag, and I think you guys heard egg. I don't know of any egg town. I think it was agriculture. Again, a little bit behind, but wanted to throw that correction out there in case no one emailed or called in. Yeah, ag for agriculture.
And then he moved on to the next episode and realized, oh, wow, I see.
Yeah, do you want to explain to new listeners what's going on?
Well, there was a story we were covering, and it was in this small town. And was it the horse story where she was riding the horse through the drive-through?
Yeah, a woman got in trouble for riding her horse around town, and the mayor was defending her right to drive the horse.
And he said, we were in ag town. We kind of thought that he said egg and not ag.
As if the town's economy was based on like chicken farms where they were making eggs, and it was like, we're an egg town.
Yeah. But turns out he was just an abbreviation for agriculture.
That's right. And we received hundreds of voicemails.
And we spent weeks upon weeks digesting and analyzing and talking about those voicemails.
I can't even eat eggs anymore.
I can.
And if I see a farm, it takes me right back there.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that in a very long time.
But I think we have talked enough tonight. I think we can put a bow on this. Anything else we need to say or do? Or did we accomplish our task of keeping Canada weird by highlighting and exploring and rolling our eyes at, shaking our fists at the week's weird news?
I think we're ready to call it a night.
Take our final drink. This is the last drink of my ice cream sundae from A&W. Oh, that's good. Handsome Aaron Airport. Until next time.
Jordan, bus stop, backhoe, Bonaparte. Until next time.
Go to the website, click on the store, because I just added Halloween-themed Keep Canada Weird merch. 2 different styles of t-shirts. If anyone wants some cool Keep Canada Weird Halloween-themed merch, it's available now.
Mm-hmm.
And the prices are pretty reasonable, as is shipping.
And Jordan, until next time, as I said on the top of the show, I'm drinking my Sprite Zero out of my Wendy's Wednesday cup. And on the back, it says, best served cold like revenge. But I think they should change that to best served cold like Norm's voicemails.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you've got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, Nicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere. Good night.
Hey guys, this is Todd from Nashville. Never miss an episode. You guys are the best. I just wanted to wait a pretty good bit to bring the ag and egg back. I've been marinating on that for a long time to send in, just to mess with you too. I was going to let some time pass and then pick off that scab. But no one's a bigger fan than me. Keep on keeping Canada weird.
I literally thought I was like, damn, he put on a lot of weight since the album dropped.
It seems like a sort of a bad idea.
Some of the neighbors we spoke to say you have mental health problems.
They have mental health problems. My life is in danger. If they don't want to seem to understand it, that's no problem.
I have family visiting in town, and we have Swan on our scavenger list right here. And we also have roses and a statue of Shakespeare, and it looks like we're going to be hunting for a really long time to find the swans on the river.
I hit the sand, drug my yak up on the sand, geared up, went across the road to Timmy's, had a cup of coffee, calmed down a little bit. And I promise I'll do everything I can to be a good Canadian, and I will defend your border. I swear I will.